So hi guys, welcome to the first official episode of the MsAfripolitan podcast, Afripolitan Fashion Insights. That is the title of this first video for the new series where I'm going to be sharing fashion insights. If some of you guys don't know, if it's the first time you are here to our channel, welcome. My name is Veni and I'm the creator and host of the MsAfripolitan podcast. I actually work in the fashion industry as my 9 to 5, and I'm very passionate about Black creativity and Black talent within all creative arts, but especially fashion because that's my profession. So, or that's the sector that I work in. So, yeah, I really just want to first of all share my journey with you of how I got into the industry. And what I did to get into the industry, and then the other episodes are maybe going to be expanding more on what other roles you can get within the fashion industry, what universities are good and so forth, and maybe even speaking to some fellow Black creatives within the industry that are doing really good things. So guys, please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And yeah, I'm just gonna kick off and explain of how I started to get, or how I got into the industry. So first of all, I never ever imagined myself being in the industry. Like growing up, fashion wasn't something that I wanted to do. I'd always been interested in like fashion and clothes and whatnot, but I never saw it as a career option for myself. When I was growing up, I think I wanted to be, very briefly, I wanted to be a fashion model. Then it turned into, I think, an air hostess. And then for the longest time, for a long period, and I was going down the route of maybe being in a law or the political field. So and that was actually influenced from a family member of mine who's a lawyer. So yeah, I was inspired by that, and I thought, yeah, no, this is something I really wanted to do when I was in year 10 and year 12. So for those of you guys who are in America, year 10 and year 12 are classes or grades, as you would call them, when you're in high school. So in those years I did work experience, which was very law and political based. So I worked in year 10, I think I did an internship at a law immigration firm. I also worked for the Welsh Assembly government because I went to school in Wales, in Cardiff specifically. So yeah, I did experience there with the Welsh Assembly. I did, then for year 12 I did experience at a Cardiff Crown Court. I can't remember if I did it at the Crown Prosecution Service. I might have. So yeah, so as you can tell, that everything was very academic focused, and also my A-levels were academic focused as well. So I took history, I took English, literature and language, I took law, and I took sociology. So I did sociology for like 4 weeks, and I just wasn't connecting with the subject. I just kind of thought, why am I here? This is not for me, type of thing. So I switched to classical civilization, which is probably even more harder, but the benefits were the people in the class were cool, as well as my teacher. And she actually came from London. She used to live in London. She used to live not too far from where I grew up in London. So she understood, she basically understood that I'm a Black young girl within a white school, so there's obviously challenges that I'm going to be experiencing and facing that my peers won't be experiencing and facing. So she just kind of got it, and she was super cool. We would have meet up and have study sessions, but we'd go to the pub. I hate pubs now, but back then it's kind of cool having a teacher that you meet up with her. She buys you a drink. You're supposed to be doing revision, but you're kind of just gisting and just vibing. And we're I was in sixth form at the time, so when you're doing your A-levels, okay, the academic work is harder than the earlier years, but you kind of have more free time to just chill. and although you're supposed to be studying in that free time, but it's kind of like with some teachers, the way you sort of interact with them now is kind of more on an adult level as opposed to like a sort of younger level. So yeah, so and then also for classics as well, we went to Greece in year 13, and my teacher was really nice. She was able to get me like I don't know whether to call it like a bus, but anyway, the school paid like half of my trip, so my mum only had to pay like the other half, which was really good because the trip was like what maybe like £650 for like a week, but when you deeped what we did, like it did make sense. Like we stayed in like I think we went to Athens, so we went to see like all the ancient monuments, went to the Acropolis. So if you're into like ancient Greek mythology, this would have been like right up your street. So we went to the Acropolis. So we stayed in Athens, went to Delphi, went to Toulon. I can't remember if we went to another place as well, but yeah, it was a really like funny, like banterous trip. So yeah, so that was like the plus of taking classics, although academically it was a very challenging course. So when I was doing my A-levels, that's when I got to a stage where it was kind of like, do I actually still want to go down this law route? Is this actually still for me? Do I even want to be doing A-levels? Do I even still want to be in education? So, you know, in the UK, once you get to the age of 16 and you've completed the national exams called GCSEs, if you don't want to stay in school, you don't have to stay in school. Like you go and start working. Like there's no one stopping you from doing that. Or you can continue in the high school you're in, or the secondary school you're in, whatever you want to call it, and do A-levels or do a BTEC course. A BTEC course is more like a vocational course, or you can go to a college and you can do vocational courses there. Some people go to colleges and they do A-levels, or you can go to a 6. So you kind of get the drift. Like you can sort of stay in the traditional educational system, or you can go to a vocational college and continue education there, or you can just start working or drop out or whatever. So once I was doing my A-levels, which is like from the ages of 17 to 18 before you go to university, like I just started to, I was just like, it was a very challenging time for me because I kind of felt like the decisions I made at that time was very crucial for like how the next couple of years of my life were going to like pan out. And oh man, like it was crazy. So I was finding like the A-levels like too much because I had like very book heavy subjects for A-levels, and I think this is why I have PTSD with like reading books. I cannot sit down and read a book like within a week or like within a couple of days. Whereas when I was in school, I used to love reading. I remember even the librarian, she asked me to join a library club, but I was like, no, I don't want to join a library club because I didn't want to be like, it wasn't cool to be in a library club. But she noted that I liked coming to the library, I liked taking books out home to read. Although they were like romantic teenager love type of books, but still, and maybe Harry Potter, but I still had that passion for reading. But now I can't. I find it very hard. I have to listen to audiobooks. I just can't do it. And I think it's I'm still traumatized from what I went through a couple of years ago. Not even a couple of years ago, but it is what it is. So yeah, so that's where the challenges started to arise. And I was just like, what? I was kind of like, what am I going to do with my life? Like literally, what am I going to do? Do I just want to maybe quit and just work in a bank? Do you know what I mean? Like, and just become a cashier? I don't think this education thing is for me, blah, blah, blah. But whilst I started my A-levels, I actually ended up getting a job in House of Fraser. So House of Fraser is like, it was like one of the top department stores a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, it's declined over the years now, and they had some financial issues this year. And I think even last year as well. And I think they even closed the Cardiff store that I worked in last year, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, at the time, like working in House of Fraser when I was in Cardiff, that was like one of the top places to work at if you were like a young like person who was like from the ages of like 16 to like maybe like your university age, so like maybe 16 to 21, 22. That was like the place to work type of thing. Either that or Marks and Spencer's, or maybe even Tesco's, because although it was a supermarket, they still paid good. So I started working in House of Fraser on the weekends, and then even sometimes I would maybe do a shift, maybe like Thursday night when the store closes a bit later on. So after school, I would go home, get ready, and then catch the bus and then go into the city centre to go and work. So yeah, man, I was just like, what am I gonna do? Like, oh my god, type of thing. And then a family friend of ours was like, well, you know, like Benny, you're really into fashion, you're really into all of that. Like, haven't you ever thought about maybe doing fashion, like business, fashion merchandising, and so forth? And I'd never, prior to her having that conversation with me, I never even specify a name. My name's Bola. Prior to Bola actually having that conversation with me, I just thought the fashion industry was like designers. I didn't even really think about what the actual structure was outside of the retail stores, because like I said, I was always thinking of going down the law route, the politics route. I even skipped a bit there. So prior to me even having this conversation with Bola, when I was going for this thing of do I actually want to go into what's it called, law and whatnot, I went to like an open day. So that at that time I was like, maybe I should do international relations and politics instead, because I was struggling with law specifically, and it was distance learning. Like now like online courses are like they're like everyone does them and everyone goes on Zoom to learn, and we're having meetings online and all this stuff. But when I was in school, that wasn't the norm. So learning a subject like law that people do as a degree, and doing that as an AS level, and you're only seeing a teacher once, I think, did we say once a year, twice a year in like an actual person? I was like, no, this is not for me. This is not for me, no. So I sort of realized that if I'm not enjoying law now as an AS level, then I'm not going to be enjoying it as an actual degree. So that I was having all of that, then I had the conversation with Bola, like I've just said to you. So then I then started to research into like what the degrees were in terms of fashion, the business side of fashion. But my A-levels and my subjects were more catered to like law, history, and those type of politics and those type of degrees. So I was limited to the type of courses that I could apply for. And also I didn't do textiles because I have another PTSD experience with that, but I'm not going to go into that. It was just a teacher embarrassing me. So yeah, I didn't do textiles, I hadn't done art, and I didn't do business studies, even though I'd thought about doing business studies for an A-level or GCSE, but I hadn't done it. So I didn't have any like core experience for the degree I was trying to do. But anyway, I still applied to four universities. I applied to London College of Fashion, and I think I applied for the fashion management course there. I applied to Nottingham Trent to do, fashion and textile management, something along those lines. I applied to De Montfort University to do retail buying textiles, and then I applied to Manchester Met to do fashion buying. So I can't remember now whether when you're applying for university whether you had 4 options, so 4 universities to apply to or 5. But I think from what I recall, I think I could only apply to like 4 because, like I said, of my the subjects that I'd taken and how it was limiting, because I'd always worked towards going down a certain avenue career-wise, and then now I'm shifting and I'm going to like the complete opposite side, the creative side. So yeah, and I even remember, like, I'm just trying to tell you as much as possible to show you how many obstacles I had. I remember like one of the teachers, I wish she was like the head of year or something, she said something negative, maybe like, oh, and if you've got these type of I think she was basically trying to say, I don't think you're going to get in with those grades, something along those lines. But anyway, so in the end, ManMet and DMU ended up giving me like conditional offers, meaning that if I got certain grades for A-levels, then they would give me, I would be able to attend the university, they would give me a place. So now, I didn't get into ManMet, and ManMet was my first choice, and DMU was my second choice. And I think I'd been to ManMet, and I'd been to DMU for an interview, and I'd been to London College of Fashion. I didn't go to Nottingham for their open day. So I really liked Manchester, so I was very gutted when I didn't get in. And I thought maybe I would go through clearing. So to explain for people that don't know what clearing is when you don't get into your first 2 choices of universities, or even maybe your first choice, you can go through clearing and see maybe if there's, I think, is it the same university? I think sometimes just the university that rejected you is there, and maybe you can try and reapply if they're listed, or maybe you can try and get into another university via clearing. So I did look into it, and I think ManMet was on there, but funnily enough, I think everything happens for a reason. Like the day prior to us getting our A-level results, DMU, Dumont University, had given me like an unconditional offer for the course. So like regardless of what A-levels I get, they're accepting me. So I kind of thought, do you know what? I just can't be bothered with this whole this whole trying to like sort this whole clearing thing out. Let me just accept my offer from DMU. So I ended up going to DMU for 3 years. I studied retail buying textiles. So DMU is in Leicester in the UK, for those of you guys that are based in America or anywhere else outside the UK. So that was like a very good experience for me, like probably like one of the best years of my life. Just so much vibe, so much jokes. And I ended up, actually obtaining a degree and working in the industry that's related to my degree today. So, it was very beneficial. And what now, tying this into like people who are Black creatives who want to get into the industry, what I personally suggest is, I'm all about people getting education in the fields that they want to get into. I think education is key. I think you can never stop learning, so it's always best to go forth and try and get that knowledge in whatever way you can. So I'm pro education and experience as well, and taking into consideration that for us as Black creatives and Black professionals in general, we're competing with and dealing with a lot within society. So it's always, unfortunately, due to the way the system is, we always have to ensure we're on our A game, and we always have to ensure that we're putting our best foot forward. And I believe that it's made easier for you if you have experience to back that up. So that's my main advice, is education and experience. So whilst I was at university, I made it like my aim and my goal to always ensure I was getting work experience within head offices, to try and just understand what the industry actually works like, and to sort of implement what I'm learning, into practice, and to see, okay, is this the steps I really want to go into? So after first year, when I went back to Cardiff for some holidays, shout out to my cousin Ken. He linked me up with one of his friends who was a senior buyer at Peacock's head office. Peacock's head office is a clothing retailer in the UK. So I went there for like 2 weeks, I think. It was super fun. I worked in a menswear department, and yeah, it was just great. Like I went to do like comparative shopping analysis, or competitive shopping analysis, whatever you want to call it, is with one of the buyers, and that's basically just going out and seeing what the fellow competitors are doing, what type of product are they selling, what the price points are, and so forth. I also got to take samples home, so yeah, man, it was a vibe. Like it was really good. So I appreciate my cousin, seeing like how passionate I was about the field I wanted to get into, and enabling me to get that experience, and also Bolo for even noticing the skill sets that they had and the passions that I had, and how I could turn it into a career, or be in a field where I can do what I'm passionate about as for a living, if that makes sense. So yeah, so that was that. So when I went back for second year, I ended up doing work experience again at Claire's Accessories and Sweaty Betty. Then final year again, I did work experience with Peacocks. So I really tried to just strengthen my CV as possible. I graduated, and after I graduated, I was looking for jobs and blah blah blah. And not too long before my graduation, maybe like a day before, or no, sorry, not a day before, but a couple of days or a week, I can't remember, I'd applied for Ann Summers head office. So and at the time, like, Ann Summers was like the UK's like #1 like lingerie and adult toys what's it called, like retailer. Like they were doing like super well. So I didn't get in, and I was like, okay, it is what it is type of thing, just continuing to apply. And then they then came back. I think HR rang me like a week later, and then they were saying I don't know if it was the same person the same role that I'd applied for, but someone had sort of left the business, and they needed temp cover like ASAP. So she was like, if you really like showcase your skills and like really work hard, like there could be a potential for them to make you permanent. But originally, like, the temp contract was for 2 weeks, so I was in Cardiff at the time. So I thought, what, okay, I'll just come work in London for 2 weeks, then go back. And also, like, I have family in London, so it wasn't hard for me to come and work. So when what happened? So I just actually packed like a bag for 2 weeks. I thought, yeah, I'm just gonna be here for 2 weeks. I'll go back to Cardiff, continue to apply for roles, and then I'll get the permanent job. Guys, I was there for like I think 4 months, and I worked in all of the departments. I worked in the started off in the novelties department. So that's like where you have like the hen party and the stag do, like the inflatable naked man, or like the penis straws, all of this different stuff. And also there was even like porn DVDs there as well. And so like I was like just doing admin within the department, or like archiving samples, putting them away, stuff like that, dealing with suppliers by email and whatnot. So I remember the manager at the time that I was working with, she actually, which I appreciated, she was asking me like, oh, if you're not comfortable to do with like the porn tapes, like let me know, blah blah blah. And I was like, no, it's fine, it's okay, because I'm not prude. But and like the majority, the people that work at the company, like they're all fun, like people work hard, but also people like to have fun, and they banter and all this stuff due to the nature of the business, like, and due to the product that they sell. So you have to not be someone who's like uptight and prudent to work there. otherwise you'd always be uncomfortable seeing like sex toy samples or maybe people making jokes or whatnot. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so I worked on the novelty department, I worked in the sex toy department, like just temping and helping, doing admin work and whatnot. The lingerie department and the what's it called? The like party with like the outfits, the dress up outfits. And like prior to even joining, like I'd been to an Ann Summers party before. One of the girls I was friends with in school, like her mum had an Ann Summers party, so she invited us. So yeah, and we were like 18 at the time, so it wasn't weird for us. And also, like my friends had got me like, I think one year they brought me like an outfit from Ann Summers, like a police outfit, and then they'd also even brought me like just like some other, I think it was like chocolate body paint, and there was like maybe something that you would tie in like this area. So yeah, so I was already like, I already knew the product, I already knew what they were about. So for me, it was kind of like exciting to work for the brand. And at the time it was one of like the main brands that was promoting like sex positivity for women embracing their bodies, women embracing their sexuality and so forth. And also promotion of using like toys as well, because now when you're going to Boots, you're going to Superdrug, which are, I don't know what to call them, like drugstores. I don't know what we'd call that a drugstore in the US. But now you can find toys there. But a couple of years ago, when I worked at the head office, they were like the main sellers on the high street. And then online, I think their competitors were Love Honey and I think another brand called Fedora. But now there's so many other brands. Anyway, besides that, so I ended up temping there for 4 months. Then what happened? Yeah, so that ended. Then I was applying, then I ended up getting a job at Halls & Curtis, and that was like my first permanent role within the fashion industry. So I was there, then I've gone on to work for brands like Aquascutum, Crew Clothing, and also Fred Perry. And now I like work within production, which is manufacturing, so dealing with factories that are actually manufacturing apparel garments, manufacturing accessories, so whether that's bags, whether that's belts, whatever it may be, and also dealing with factories that deal with manufacturing shoes as well. So that's now my area of expertise, is production within the fashion industry. But there's so many other areas that you can go into, and also my specialities have been with working with high-end premium brands to luxury brands. That's my forte. But you could go in, you could work within the high street brands, or you could go and work within a luxury brand. It's up to you, and it's to your preference. But I just wanted to share my journey of how I got into the industry, so people can also understand a bit more about me and the person of the MsAfripolitan podcast. I really want to share more fashion insights because I've got a lot to share about my experience, about so people can understand more about what I do, and if that's maybe something they want to go into, but also sharing other roles within the industry that you can go into, whether that be merchandising, whether that could be marketing. It's not just product development, garment technology. It's not just being a designer or maybe working on a shop floor, as some people would think. Like, it's such a big industry, and there's so much that you can do within the industry, as well as also starting your own brand if that's something that you want to go into as well. But yeah, from my experience, the academic route helped me in terms of obtaining a fashion degree, and also doing experience in university also helped me a lot. So I would also encourage you budding creatives, my black people that if you want to get into the fashion industry, please just try and look for courses that you would like to do, and also try and ensure that you get the relevant experience whilst you're doing your degree. And even if your degree has a sandwich course, so where you work in the industry for a year, I highly recommend it. I think if your degree has a 1 month placement and you take a year out and you work, I highly recommend it. But yeah, that's all for now, because I could just be going on, and I want to be keeping the videos to just sort of one topic at a time. But I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. You've learned more about my journey. But yeah, please like, share and subscribe and comment to let me know your thoughts. So see you guys, take care, and all the best.